Hey guys, it's Mark here and welcome back to Digi Profits. In this video, we're going to look at DeFi Kingdoms. Is it going to become the Roblox of crypto? And why does it even matter? Well, okay, to get underway, I just want to mention something about, say, a game called Tetris. Some of you guys may remember it from 1984. It first came out. It really rose to prominence probably in the later 80s in particular. And then obviously a lot of people either ripped it off or used the patent and what have you, and built multiple versions of the Tetris game. So it's a game it's actually one of the better selling games of all time. But it's still just a game, and the gaming company that created it, it was its main game, and it has never had anything like it since. And it basically it went up and then kind of sort of tailed off over the years. Many games don't survive as well as Tetris. Many games, they come, they go. They come, they go. So why is Roblox so important? Well, Roblox has been around for 10 years now. A lot of kids play Roblox, but it's an ecosystem. There are thousands of games. In fact, I've heard there may even be millions of games on Roblox. There are so many games because the people in the community can make games on Roblox. So looking back, the latest graph I could find of their growth was like going from 2018 to 2021, where it grew from 10 million daily active users up to 40 million daily active users. Now it's at 54.1 million daily active users. So it's growing and growing, and it's grown for over a decade. You know, most games, they come, they spike, they go, or they have to keep reinventing themselves with new additions and so forth. It's difficult for a game to do well year in, year out, let alone on crypto. So I think it's really important for people to be well aware, I guess, that DeFi Kingdoms, the whole roadmap and everything to do with it, if you actually research DeFi Kingdoms, it isn't a game. Yes, they are building a game. You could say the same for Amazon.com. When they started selling books that they had sourced and supplied, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But the plan was simply that other people would be selling on their platform. So it's similar with DeFi Kingdoms. It's not a game. I mean, it is a game, but it's not just a game. The long-term vision is that it's an ecosystem of games and third-party applications. So that's why they have their own subnet chain, which is essentially like owning their own blockchain in a way, because it burns Joule, which is their native token, as gas. We're not seeing the effects of that yet because on Crystal Vale, where the new subnet is, we haven't seen Quest's launch yet, which is coming in, I don't know, probably a matter of weeks from now, maybe just over a month. I'm not sure of the timeline, but it's not far away. It's also why they're doing so much background work on NFTs and how the blockchain integrates and works with future developers of games and apps. In fact, this is specifically coming from the latest AMA, just a couple of days ago, from Frisky Fox. He says, "We are doing a ton of stuff, especially with integrations with third parties into our DeFi Kingdoms chain. What we're trying to do is more of create a metaverse place where others can come and build as well. So the supporting efforts for all of that are going to be added to the roadmap as well." He also says, "Build program has been one of my highest priorities since the very start, making sure we provide the tools to the community to be able to build third-party sites and to analyze data, but also to integrate with the game itself. This is one of the coolest things that will be made possible by the DFK chain, like Ready Player One is what he used as an example, where I can create a program and put it on the blockchain, and it has its own rules and parameters, but can integrate and interact with the assets. So all apps currently do that by interacting with things like Ethereum, One, etc. But NFTs, so he's talking about the in-game NFTs, is another thing entirely, and we haven't seen much of that. I believe that in the longer term, his plan is that other people will use those DFK chains NFTs, the heroes, and they will be in many other games, not just in DeFi Kingdoms. He says also that in terms of competition within the game itself, I see it as with the game itself, I see it as additive and not competitive. So he doesn't see it as competing with the game. If someone else makes a game using the same NFTs, he sees it as adding to the ecosystem. Just like if someone builds another Roblox game on Roblox, it is just adding to the Roblox ecosystem. Anytime you see websites try to control the entire narrative and not to open it up to the community developers, they will never be as successful as someone trying to create a platform. So that's what's got me excited about DeFi Kingdoms in the first place. The moment I knew that it was an ecosystem and not a singular game, not to mention the decentralized finance integration and everything else, that's what got me most excited about this as a project. Another analogy when looking at their long-term vision is to look at Amazon.com. Like, Amazon started out wholesaling and shipping books that they sourced themselves. Look, I took a little screenshot from their 1998 homepage. The long-term vision, though, was an ecosystem where others can be the sellers and drop shippers of all kinds of physical products. And they went through their rocky roads. I mean, they started out around, like there was a point back in the late 90s where they were about $1 a share. They went up to about $120. They went down to $3. They went up and down around the dozens of dollars, up to 100 and back down again. But eventually they found their path on the way on and up over $500. So, from $3 to 500 was pretty huge for a stock market share. And then eventually peaked so far in this market cycle of over $3,500 and is now back down around just over 2,000. Still doing very, very well. Obviously, the stock markets are bearish at the moment, as much as any assets are, but I mean, the last time they were bearish, this happened, it went down there, but then it flung all the way up to there. So, I still see a strong future for Amazon. The moral of this is, if you are interested in GameFi and you're looking for a project to invest in that is GameFi related, or, like on the blockchain to do with gaming, individual games come and go. Lemmings was pretty much the only game. It was one of about 3 games on a company called Psychonesis, but it was pretty much their only game. And it wasn't like I could go make a Lemmings game myself and add it to the ecosystem. It was its own closed-in game, and it did very well for a number of years, especially in the 90s, but eventually that company had to fold. It just couldn't, the interest waned eventually in Lemmings. Several years ago now. So about 10 years ago, it was completely gone. And, Tetris, kind of similar, up, down. It's probably got a longer lifespan than Lemmings because it's a relatively simple concept and other people can now, it's not quite like a platform, but they can build their own Tetris and pay for rights. But essentially, these are examples of individual game. It may come, it may have its own bull run period, it may go. But ecosystems, they win long term. Like, look at the Apple App Store. People can build their own apps on the App Store. They did pre-fill it with a bunch of apps to start with. And then other people now develop apps for that App Store. Roblox, same thing. They started with their own games on there, and now the community creates probably better games than Roblox do on Roblox. And it has 50 million plus active daily users. 50 million. I mean, if DeFi Kingdoms right now has in the thousands, like maybe 15,000 users, and they might not be on there daily, so it might have, say, 8 to 10,000 daily active users. I just can't imagine what it will be like in a future state with as an ecosystem and potentially hundreds of thousands of daily users. Millions of daily users is not impossible, as we've seen with Roblox, but you don't have to have millions for it to be hugely successful from here, particularly as it is a decentralized finance type thing. It is not the same beast as Roblox. It has potential for a lot bigger amounts of money being spent, a lot more adults involved in it. Not that adults don't play Roblox, but it is largely children playing, and yet they still make, hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's a lot more, obviously, to come with the game itself that they are developing. The player versus player stuff, the questing, the jewel being burned, Pets coming out soon. Crystal Vale's going to have its own quests. But the longer term vision is what I'm really excited about, how they are just trying to make sure that everything integrates so well so that other people can build on there. And that's what I'm particularly excited about long term. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this particular video, and please leave a comment and like and share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you like the content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, everybody.